Good morning, LinkedIn family. It's time for another Coffee with Bob. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing you all to Remy Rosen. Remy and I have been connected for just a little bit, fairly new connections. Like I always say, it takes one connection to change a life, and I think Remy could be that connection for somebody. Remy is a marketing genius. I don't know if you followed any of his posts, but you got to connect with him. You got to definitely follow him because he's got some good posts going, and definitely engage with him because he offers great advice constantly. Remy, I love your posts. From
Thank
a
you.
marketing perspective, I mean, it's taught me a lot so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you. We have our coffee ready for coffee this morning.
I'm doing water.
I'm in California, so in Los Angeles, so it's a little earlier on my end. And thank you for the kind words. Yeah, so currently I lead the marketing and analytics outfit at Caserta. It's a data and analytics consultancy based in New York.
Oh, wow.
And I actually started the remote trend even before COVID because I left New York in December
Oh,
for a sunnier, better weather California.
yeah. Well,
So I started the trend.
creating taxes.
I think I pay more now than I did in New York. I should have moved to Florida. Florida would have been much cheaper.
There you go.
But here we have great mountains, and I can go hiking, which is really great now that we've entered into more of a outdoors kind of a way of living.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for liking my posts on LinkedIn. I really try to share a lot about marketing and where it meets business, and also spice it with data. What I do at Caserta is talk a lot about data and how it's used in marketing and how we can use it to better understand what people are doing in businesses, the customer journey, and how we can better appreciate behavior and also improve experience for all of us.
Yeah.
So I post a lot about that. But I'm also involved in other startups. I'm on the board of a few startups. I'm involved in the founding of one startup right now, which is totally different. It's actually a beauty startup,
Really?
which is really interesting. Yeah. So again, marketing consulting for them, and I'm building out their marketing outfit. It's called Vivio. It is like 60-second eye lift products for enhancing, not age defying, but enhancing, a woman's youthful appearance.
Wow.
So we all need that in the age of masks, right? Because
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
the focus is on the eyes. So that's coming out in about 5 months or so. So this is really nascent. We put in a product production. So be on the lookout for all kinds of goodies about social media marketing, for thought leadership, but more in the B2C space that I'm going to be also talking a lot about. Which is going to be interesting. And I also work with a lot of Israeli startups. I lived in Tel Aviv for 7 years, and I was heavily involved in the Israeli startup scene, marketing, product side of things. So it's a very different outlook on marketing. And that's where I really cut my marketing teeth, so as to say.
Okay. Wow, interesting. Yeah, that's it. Tel Aviv is one of the places that's on our bucket list to go to. So that's interesting. I've got a couple of LinkedIn connection friends that are out that way, and I know that startup community is huge.
It is on fire. I mean, they're always trying to outdo one another, and they're not afraid to be contrarians. It's interesting. I just read an article on LinkedIn just yesterday about a Yale professor said that the key to being genius is to be a contrarian thinker, and it immediately reminded me of the startup scene over there because they like to bicker, they like to have different opinions, they like to even be a little vocal about them. In the hallways of startups, you'll always hear loud exchanges, and it's because on purpose they'll play the devil's advocate. And I think in marketing, when we're always saying, okay, what's the next idea? What's the next idea? Everyone knows about like banner blindness, but do they know about subject blindness, body blindness, webinar blindness, LinkedIn Live blindness, right?
Yeah.
So when you're a contrarian, you're always thinking, you know what, maybe let's try this way. Maybe let's try that way. Maybe if everyone's zigging, it's time to zag.
Yeah.
And yeah, so contrarian thinking was one thing that stuck out.
So the contrarian thinking sort of mentality, I would think, especially during these times of COVID, where everybody's scrambling for business, right, or trying to get their word out there. How do you get above the chatter when it's days like these?
That is an excellent question. So from the beginning, that is the main topic on everyone's plates. So first of all, this is where data comes in, which is always fun. because I believe truly and wholeheartedly that data really is the torch that leads the way forward in business, especially in times of darkness and uncertainty. We just don't know. So the better data we have, and that can be from all kinds of sources and alternative sources that we never even thought about, like web scraping and imagery. And for instance, how, there was a case, how could you predict when people were going back to work in China? And the best indicator was satellite data of road congestion during peak business hours. And that was the best indicator. Even before the Chinese government were going back to work, they already saw trickles of that. And so that's an example of how data is shining the way. So in marketing, I'm always looking at those open rates. I'm always looking at engagement rates, what's working and what's not working, and trying to tweak and play around with it. So LinkedIn Live, I think we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
That's one way that actually has helped me get more engagement, and the same goes, by the way, for Facebook Live and also Instagram Live. Instagram is less like a platform for business, but I get advertised on that a lot. Also,
Really?
stories. Stories are an interesting way because they're untapped. A lot of times I actually do see stories, and LinkedIn is doing stories now too on the app.
Yes.
So I actually haven't dabbled in it. Have you tried that?
I haven't yet. I've been sort of a little hinky on it, not really sure it's a good fit. I mean, I get it for Instagram and, I think, what's the other social media platform that's using stories? Facebook is starting to use it,
Facebook,
but
sure.
I forgot.
TikTok?
My kid, yeah, not TikTok, but the other one, Snapchat.
Snapchat, sure. They
Kids
were
are,
the ones that really started the whole story concept. They were
right,
only stories, and then
right,
sure.
yeah,
That brings us to another one, which I haven't dabbled in whatsoever, but to get above the noise. But I've definitely looked into it. I say B2B, but I'm really P2P, person to person,
hmm,
because at the end of the day, I don't market to buildings and addresses. I market to human beings.
right,
And so what does a human being want? What do they want to consume? And you and I, everyone on a Zoom, everyone on a webinar, we're infotainers, right?
right,
We're not just competing for other webinars, we're competing with someone's Instagram feed or Facebook feed. They're probably watching this video and maybe even clicking away to a web browser to check their stock prices and, oh my God, something the president said. And then there's this thing that happened, and then maybe a catastrophe somewhere. And they're like, wait a second, I'm in a webinar. Then they start listening again.
right, yeah,
So we're infotainers. We have to compete now for all of these voices. Literally, we're in a war for eyeballs of our prospects and of our
yeah,
audience. So TikTok was something that came up, and now this is the contrarian thinking again. I personally have not tried it, but it's not off the table, and it's contrarian because, well, my day job is as the vice president of marketing and analytics for a B2B consultancy. That's pretty stodgy, right?
right,
I
yeah,
don't think that our I don't think that our clientele is really on TikTok. Usually it's a chief information officer, a
yeah,
chief technology officer of a larger firm. But you never know. And honestly, I've seen people that shared TikToks to their LinkedIn and got hundreds of likes and comments. And I said to myself, you know what? It's only contrarian because we haven't done it yet.
right, yeah,
And so maybe if we try it and it gets adoption, now it doesn't necessarily have to be TikTok. It could be a TikTok style video,
sure.
but it's something to consider. So
All right.
I wouldn't rule it off the table in the times of COVID.
So we're gonna see you on your electronic skateboard skating to dreams in the next post, right?
So I'm not so coordinated, but you can see, that might get more engagements watching me fall on the pavement.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Remy. That was a great conversation. I always say this at the end of these conversations that I wish LinkedIn would let me do more in 10 minutes, but
Sure.
which just sets us up to do a live conversation once I get the live show going. So I'm going to call you back for that if that's okay.
I would love to. We could have coffee and we could talk for hours.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.